Hello and welcome back. Susan Zumo here, intuitive and originator of Soul Patterning Harmonics. We are in the first half of August. We are still in the Lion's Gate, so I hope you're enjoying it. And like we mentioned the last week, this week is time for us to vision what it is that we want to create during this time of the Sirian energy pouring in and supporting our desires. So while we are thinking about that, and I would encourage you to go back and listen to the August frequencies for more information and guidance on that. While we were in the week of visioning, this first half of August, I was reminded by my intuition, my higher, about a time when I was a kid and every Labor Day, our neighborhood would get together and have a block party. And as I thought about that, I started to receive information from the Galactics about community. I never looked at those block parties as community. As a kid, I thought they were just a great time for us to eat all day and play until 10 o'clock at night, well past the time when we were normally allowed to stay up. I didn't really consider the fact that at that one day of the year, everybody on the block brought out their picnic tables, put out their food. Somebody brought out a transistor radio, of all things, and sat and talked to one another and ate food together for a day. What was unusual about that was that they didn't all really get along or like each other most of the time. Of course, there were people in the neighborhood who were very close to my family, and some who were very different. But what they all had in common was that they were raising children. They were families, some single parents, but mostly families raising children. That is what drew them together in community. They didn't have to like each other. They didn't have to agree with each other's politics, but they were neighbors, and they knew that as neighbors, they had to find a way to get along, and they did. And then on that one time of the year when we had that block party, they actually came out together and found real common ground for that time. So while I was thinking about community and block party, the Galactics challenged me and said, how are you defining community now? Because community really is frequency. Communities are drawn together through common frequency. And in this time of the Lion's Gate, while everyone is focused on manifesting what it is that they want, we're being asked to look at, define, and create community. So we have a spiritual community here, right? We meet every week, you and we come together for a mutual purpose, right? And our purpose is to grow spiritually. Now, some of us may be here to see what that crazy lady is going to say every week, or some of us are here to learn something new, or maybe even affirm that we're not the only one in the world going through this. Whatever that is, we are on a harmonious frequency. And you may belong to many different kinds of communities, not only just one or one type. I belong to many online communities and also some physically. What the Galactics challenged me to look at and ask about of myself, and I'm going to put that out for you, is about our physical communities. I love my etheric community. I love my galactic community. I love hanging out with them and connecting with them. I love reaching out to you all online and connecting with you. Those non-physical etheric communities are absolutely wonderful. But I was reminded that I also live in a physical world. And so the question that was put to me, and the one that I'm going to put to you is, would you attend a block party with the people in your neighborhood? And I thought that was a very thought-provoking question. I don't know that we tend to think in those terms. If you needed to connect with the people in your community for some reason. Maybe not a block party, but maybe to support one another. If there's a flood, right? If the weather is bad, if it snows heavily and people are blocked in, do you have community where you live? Is your community focused on supporting one another, growing one another, loving one another? Look at the community around you. Look at your physical neighborhood, whether you're in a home or an apartment building. If you live in a complex, you really want to look at community because you've got people above you, below you, and on either side of you in some cases. And you want to know what the focus and purpose of that community is for. Look at your role within that community as well. We are being asked to define ourselves in new and different ways. Are you the beacon of light in a neighborhood of darkness? Ask yourself, why have I taken on this role? Do I need to be in this role any longer? Look around and see what you have created. See what is being created around you. Sometimes in the spiritual community, we have a tendency to try and escape out into the ethers where it's lots of fun, it's all love and light, and we're feeling great. And we tend to ignore what may be happening in our own backyards. It's important for us to be aware of that. As we move forward through the rest of the year, you're going to want to know who your neighbors are. You're going to want to know why you are in that neighborhood. And if you decide that you no longer want or need to be there, well, now is the time to start envisioning what you want to change, where you want to be, what you want to have in your life. So this is something that we can all focus on. Now, if you're like me, my guys know what I want. I've been telling them. They could probably recite it back to me with their eyes closed. So now I'm just waiting and trusting that everything will fall into place for me. I'm not saying get up and move tomorrow. I'm not saying go out and knock on your neighbor's doors tomorrow and introduce yourself, although you might want to do that in some cases. What I am saying is we need to have an awareness. We are being asked to be aware of all of our communities and all of our environments. And if we desire to change or to see change in any of our communities, we've got to change our frequency. Because whether we know it or not, or whether we want to admit it or not, we have a harmonious frequency with the neighborhood that we are living in and the people that are surrounding us. And this is going to apply for every situation, whether it is a work situation, a family situation, a neighborhood situation, or a state or country, right? So expand what we're thinking. Community is the word. And I think that we can find community in any place that we look, but not just in the non-physical. We are still people living on a planet, and we still have to have balance. We still need to be aware of who and what is around us. And that's going to be important as we go forward. So as we see these big changes coming up, and big events happening in the world, we want to be aware of how our community is going to react to that. And again, you've got intuition, you've got knowing, and you've got neighbors. So step outside, look around. You might want to smile and wave. You might want to go, do I still want to be here? This is the time for us to make those decisions and to formulate what it is that we want and would like to see. All communities come together with a purpose, whether they are aware of it or not. We are asking you to become aware and make conscious decisions for yourself. And that's the message for this week. It's short, it's sweet, but it is extremely thought-provoking. So, next week, We'll move into the frequencies of activity. Lots of activity. I kept hearing lots of activity, lots of changing. Again, big events going to happen in the month of August and then through the rest of the year. So let's get centered. Let's stay focused on who we are and what it is we're creating. And everything is going to be fantastic. So until next week, I wish you many blessings